Hello, welcome back. Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger. On July 14, 2022, the 90s was arguably the golden age of action figures. Why do I say that? Because in the 90s, we saw an evolution where action figures went from just toys for children, and due to the action of some companies such as Todd McFarlane, more action collectibles, uh, the action figures became more adult oriented. That is not to say that they were naked and showing genitalia or stuff like that. Although some of them did come dangerously close to that, but they were bigger, more complex, and had the things that needed to have blood painted on them would have blood painted on them, and the things that were supposed to look scary or look scary. It was a great time. Also, in the 90s, we saw a lot of properties being experimented on. Just look at the kind of stuff Todd McFarlane was making in the 90s. First was the Spawn action figures that based on his own Spawn comics that quickly became more popular than Marvel or DC. And then there were other things that McFarlane was doing in the 90s, such as Wetworks, a bunch of superhuman soldiers fighting vampires and werewolves. I really liked that, actually. I was kind of sad when the Wetworks line went down, even though a lot of people didn't really like it. Um, Youngblood, another superhero line that didn't see any production until then. And we had the Wild Cats, Wild Cats, you're supposed to say it that way apparently, by Playmates, another group of really cool superheroes that were alien in origins, good aliens fighting bad aliens, and they even had a cartoon series. We had gargoyles, Disney's gargoyles, and we had skeleton warriors, and of course we had the old staple Batman, Superman, X-Men, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, all those stuff that we knew. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle was still going on, and we had lines dedicated to video games such as Street Fighter and Resident Evil and Tomb Raiders. I can go on and on, but the fact remains in the 90s was a great time for action figures. Now, I don't want to come across like I'm saying, talking about the good old days, because God knows I will be the first one to admit that action figures today look a heck of a lot better than action figures in the 90s. They move better, they display better, they're bigger. So yeah, I mean, there's no debating that. That action figures today are better. They also cost a heck of a lot more. Like in the 90s, we're talking about $8 for an action figure. Heck, when Stan Winston, Stan Winston, the guy that made Terminator and a lot of those horror movie icons, when Stan Winston came out and made his own action figure line, and he sold them for $15, people were having a conniption. People were actually honestly thinking, this is crazy. No one's going to buy $15 action figures. Despite how big those action figures were and how detailed they were, how good looking they were, people were still bitching about the $15. Today, we are seeing even generic superhero action figures being sold at least $29 here in Canada. And if you want the really good stuff, well, not even the really good stuff, if you want the good stuff, then you're looking at $50, $60 for an action figure. The really, really good stuff, yeah, over $100 for an action figure. And people are still buying them today. But yeah, action figures today are bigger, more expensive, more detailed, look better. However, there is a lack of new properties being made. Honestly, when I think about what action figures have we been getting uh, in the last 20 years, say from year 2002 to 2022, I'm thinking Marvel superhero, DC superhero, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Captain America, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Thor, Hercules. Yeah, these are all things that we got in the 90s. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle is coming back. Yeah, they were in the 90s as well. Spawn is coming back. Yeah, that started in the 90s. Street Fighter, that was in the 90s as well. Uh, we really haven't seen a lot of new stuff. G.I. Joe is still going. G.I. Joe has been going since the 80s and they're still going today. Yeah, they're bigger, but it's still G.I. Joe. Star Wars, still going on. Star Trek, still going on. Universal Monsters, all those stuff were things that we had in the 90s. But where are the Skeleton Warriors? Where are the Gargoyles? Actually, Gargoyles coming back slowly, but it's coming back. Thundercat is coming back. But you get my point. All the stuff we have today, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you will recognize them. You're like, hey, I had these guys when I was a child. What's going on here? So, yeah, it's almost like creativity has kind of fallen by the wayside. And it is in the spirit of that. Uh, Today, I'm going to talk about a line that I mentioned before. One of the more creative efforts in the 90s that unfortunately didn't stick around. I personally loved the heck out of it, but not many people did because this was Todd McFarlane's own brainchild. It was not tied to any comic book. This was not tied to any cartoon, any movie. This was from his imagination straight to Toy Factory. This was called Total Chaos. So what is Total Chaos? Total Chaos it has a very simple storyline. Two factions fighting for dominance in the universe. And both sides were recruiting aliens and soldiers and superheroes and supervillains to fight for them. And that basically was it. Every time you get a new character, there's a little bit of a character biography telling you which side this guy fights on, and what's their specialty. Is their specialty jungle warfare or nuclear weapon or whatever? But the rest was all left up to your imagination. Total Chaos was like Todd McFarlane's own version of Fortnite. Yeah, basically, he just whatever character he thought would be cool, he would make and then throw into Total Chaos. And he said this guy fights for this team, this guy fights for that team, and here's a little bit of his story, and the rest you figure out yourself. It was really kind of cool in a way because we end up getting a lot of these wacky designs. Like the three guys I have in front of the camera right now, these are some of the representatives from the Total Chaos line. We have a dwarf pirate, and we have a robotic rhinoceros, and we have I don't even know what that thing is. The one on the right, that's some robotic bug, uh, some kind of bioweapon, some kind of super lizard crossed with an insect. I don't know what that thing is, okay? But these were the kind of things we were getting with Total Chaos. Just totally ridiculous looking aliens and monsters fighting for dominance. And out of all these, there was one figure that I spent many, many years looking for. Because back when I was a teenager, I started collecting Spawn, I started collecting Total Chaos action figures, but I this guy always eluded me. This guy came out in the second series of Total Chaos and was a kind of for me personally was a chase figure because his style made him sound really really cool. And then when I got him finally got him in my hand was in 2019 when I visited uh, my beautiful intelligent girlfriend kitten when I visited her in California, and I finally tracked down this character that I've been looking for almost 20 years. And was I a little bit shocked and disappointed because this character did not turn out what I envisioned him to be. Now, I'm not saying this is Todd McFarlane's fault. This is no one's fault. This is just what I want to mention as part of the problem as being a blind action figure collector. You see, for you guys, that you can go on to Google and Google search uh, future spawn. Yeah, if you want, type that into your Google, and you will get pictures of what the character future spawn look like. You can go onto Google and type in Jessica Priest, and you will get pictures of what the character Jessica Priest look like. You know what you're getting before you get the action figure. For me, when it came to Total Chaos, it was a bit of a surprise every time. Because when the character is called the Smuggler, that didn't tell me much. But by reading his biography on the internet, which stated the smuggler is one of the universe's most fearsome mercenary who was hired uh, to fight on the side of the domain. That's one of the two factions called domain. And he is known for his skill with his elegant scimitar. He prefers his sword over guns because he finds that is a lot more exhilarating and exciting. He specializes in stalking and tracking and hunting down his prey, striking when they least expect. He is one of the most feared mercenaries in the world. Okay, so if you go by that bio, and let's say you don't Google what the smuggler looks like, you probably will somehow come to more or less the same kind of conclusion that I did. For 20 years, I've been looking for this character. I've been thinking that he would be a swashbuckling, very good looking, cool looking, like a sword wielding, uh, 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 assassin, mercenary, soldier, super soldier. Maybe I was thinking, okay, maybe like Deadpool, maybe like Wolverine. Yeah, like maybe okay, like maybe uh, Sabretooth. Uh, in my in my in my mind, I was thinking this character was going to either be really big and buff, or really good looking and classy with a sword and stuff like that. Well, I wasn't expecting this guy. Honestly, this was almost as shocking and bad as if you've been talking to someone on social media for a long time. In your mind, you build up this fantastic image of how charming, good looking, muscular, or beautiful this person must be. And then when you meet them, and it turned out to be a tall, skinny, copper skinned, green haired, yellow eyed alien with huge tusks and wearing baggy purple pants and a ridiculous looking belt. That is the smuggler. Oh my goodness. All these years, I thought you were going to be great looking, and you look like this. I mean, what exactly is this thing? I have no idea. The smuggler, like I said, he kind of got he has a green ponytail that is actually like rooted soft hair like you see on Barbie. and he has like tusk, like uh, kind of like a boar or a troll, I guess. And he's super, super skinny, but really, really tall. Has ridiculously long leg and skinny arm. And his skin, copper colored. His eyes are yellow. And he wears ridiculously pirate style baggy purple pants. And he has a big belt around his waist, like the kind of belt that we used to see on Ninja Turtle action figures. Uh, yeah, just really not what I was expecting at all. He has 11 joints on his body: neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, uh, hips, and knees all move. But because none of these joints uh, are ball joints, they are all hinged. So he's stuck in this really narrow, really rigid pose. You can move his arm forward, you can move his arm back, you can kick his leg forward, you can kick his leg back, but he cannot move anything to the side. So there's nothing dynamic you can do with this particular action figure. However, I will say that 11 points of articulation on an action figure back in 1997, when this guy was made, was actually quite impressive. On his back, we'll see that he got some kind of contraption that the purpose of that will become more obvious in a little bit when we look at his accessories. I mean, even the character's biography is a little bit misleading, right? I mean, you have a guy whose name is the Smuggler, and yet in his biography, it says nothing about smuggling anything. It talks about he's a tracker, he's a hunter, he likes to kill people, he's really feared, and he's one of the best assassins or mercenaries in the universe. None of that have anything to do with smuggling. So why is he called a smuggler? I don't know. There was also rumor that initially this character was going to be female and it got changed to male. However, if we look at him, it, her, with an open mind, we can actually say that we don't really know for sure what gender this is because it's a weird, skinny alien. So who's to say that this is not a female? Who's to say that this is not what that alien species female look like? Now, as much as I was disappointed by the appearance of this character, because we'll just call it a he for now, because that's what most people refer to it as, is he. Um, as much as I was disappointed by how he was not what I imagined him to be, once I get past that, I will tell you that he is a good action figure. Really, really, especially considering from the time when he was made, which was 1997, you could you could have picked this guy up back then for $8. Okay, $8. And this is why he was a great action figure. First, he was totally unique. I mean, this is an alien that you can fit in to any kind of sci-fi display. He can be fighting your aliens and predators. He can be fighting your Star Wars. He can be someone that coming to fight Batman. He just has one of those designs that make him fit into almost anything. And this can be said with regarding to almost every character in Total Chaos. It's because they were so unique that most of them could fit into multiple other displays. Number two, the smuggler, despite being very, very scrawny, would be considered quite a large figure, especially in 1997, where most of action figures were 5 inches tall. Here, let me bring in Magneto from uh, Marvel. who was more or less a normal human size, and then we'll do a size comparison quickly. Here we have Magneto on the left, and we have the Smuggler on the right. And you can see the Smuggler, despite being skinnier, towers over Magneto like a lot. Magneto here is just over 5 inches tall, as was the standard of the time in the mid 90s. But the Smuggler stands just about 7 inches tall. That made him really quite big back in the mid 90s. I mean, comparing to characters today, he's not really all that big, but that's not what he's meant to do. He's meant to uh, be compared to figures and characters from his own time, which would make him a, quite a giant. But more so than the size, although that definitely contributed to what makes this figure quite good, more so than the size and the fact that he could fit into multiple displays, the Smuggler was loaded down with accessories. Like honestly, a lot of the action figures you get today really can be put to shame for this one because a lot of times you spend $20, $30 getting an action figure today, they don't come with anything. Maybe a pair of extra hands or an extra head for you to change their body parts. But comparing to something that you could get in 1997 for $9, $8 or $9, it's ridiculous how much you could get for those $8 or $9. Let's get on to look at what the smugglers bring to the table, and you'll see what I mean. First, to complete his pirate look, the smuggler comes with this wicked looking hook that he can hold in his right hand. I say right hand because it was specifically made to hold a hook. The hook has a crossbar that go into his hand, and then the hook itself comes out between his middle finger and ring finger. So yeah, that right hand was made specifically to hold the hook this way. Which, again, considering back in 1997, that's quite a bit of fine detail. A lot of other action figures back then would just say, here's a hand, here's a sword, or hook, or a gun. You just stick it in the hand. Doesn't matter if it looks like it makes sense or not. But no, on this action figure, they actually made the hand so it holds the hook in how it should be held if you meant to use it in combat. And despite not having very dynamic movement, the smuggler has enough articulation in his arm to get a few wicked looking poses with this hook in his hand. But obviously, because in his biography it specifically talks about his great swordsmanship and his elegant sword, so the smuggler has to come with his trusty sword as well. Now, on his bio, they refer to this sword as a scimitar, but honestly, this looks a little bit more like a Roman gladius than anything else, although it is huge. I mean, this is one big sword for those skinny arms. The sword is almost 5 inches long. Like I mentioned, this particular character is only about 7 inches tall. So that's like a 7 foot guy, 7 foot tall guy, wielding a sword that is 5 feet long. So yeah, that's a huge sword. It has a curved single edge design, very broad, and the crossguard kind of curved back in a sort of a bit of an S-shaped crossguard. And it's a single-handed weapon, despite it being a very big sword. Really good looking weapon, although it's not what I would describe as elegant. I mean, a sword like this is more brutality than anything else. But wait, this was not it. He got his hook, he got his sword. That is not the end of his arsenal. Next, the smuggler comes with this wicked looking, I don't know what the heck this is supposed to be. It's like a spear, or a trident, or a harpoon. Some kind of alien bladed spear thing that he can hold in his hand. And this thing is long. This is taller than he is. This spear is over 7 inches long. It has a broad-looking head with multiple blades, small blades forming a lot of jagged edges. I mean, Todd McFarlane liked doing weird-looking weapons for his characters, and a lot of times people make jokes about that, and a lot of them do, like this spear, just look kind of ridiculous. But it does give him a interesting long-range attack option. And yet, this is not the final accessory. There's something else. And this is actually the reason I'm showcasing the smuggler today. Because today is International Shark Awareness Day, but you guys have seen all the shark related action figures I have, but the smuggler just happened to come with a pair of shark jawbone. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. Like, why is he carrying this jawbone around with him? Are they supposed to serve any purpose? Is there a story behind it? What's going on? I don't know. But along with the jawbone, he comes with yet another spear that he can carry this set of shark jawbones on. This spear is even longer than the previous one. It's just about 8 inches long, and it's shaped much more regular. This just looks like a regular spear with a triangular pointy end, and you can hang the shark jawbone on it like he's some kind of Caribbean pirate or something. Where did he even get a shark jawbone in outer space? Yeah, I don't know. But anywho, in addition to loads of weapons and a very cool set of shark jawbones, the smuggler has one of the my favorite featured action figures come with, which is everything he come with he can carry on his person. And this is a big one because a lot of time I mentioned a lot of time action figure today count with extra head, extra arms, extra hands. But that means when you're not using them, these body parts have to be put in baggies and carefully stored so you don't lose them. Uh, a lot of times they come with extra weapons, but since they only have two hands and not both hands are made to hold weapons, sometimes you end up with a lot of weapons and you have nowhere to put them. You have to bag them and label them and put them carefully away. Not in the case of the smuggler, even though he comes with a hook, a sword, two spears, and a set of jawbones from some kind of space shark. He can hold everything. Yeah, remember that weird contraption I talked about on his back? That's for storing his spears when he's not holding them. So both spears fit in his backpack, and he can carry them over the shoulder, and including the shark jawbone, just like that, on his back, like he's ready to go camping or spear fishing. Put the hook in his right hand and the sword in his left hand, and voila! Everything is equipped. The smuggler is ready to smuggle. Maybe that's what he does. Maybe that's why he comes with so many weapons. Maybe he smuggles weapons? I don't know. Like I said, the character is a mess. The design is weird, the biography is weird. But hey, at the end of the day, for $8, $9, you get a figure that is taller than a lot of other action figures of the time, has enough joints to get in some interesting poses, uh, has come with four weapons, and don't forget a set of really cool looking shark jaws. I still don't know what the story is with those. And really, you can't ask for much more in the mid 90s. Like I said, the 90s was a great time, crazy time for action figure collection. I think the Smuggler and the line he came from, Total Chaos, and the creator that created him, Todd McFarlane, were just some of the best examples of how great the 90s was when it came to action figure collecting.